resume the and we'll kick off for another Friday. And this is session 105. I still can't believe that we've had 105 sessions, but this is great because it's an opportunity. Every Friday we come together and we talk about what's happening in the outdoors and what everyone needs to be aware of and understand, or take advantage of opportunities as they come about. So for those that don't know me, I'm Laurie Moat. I'm the CEO of Outdoors New South Wales and ACT, but looking around the screen, I think I know pretty much everyone there. And as everyone's looking online, welcome to you also, and I hope you get something from today's update. So we have a few things we'll just run through quickly before I introduce Michael, but please may I pay my respects to our Aboriginal our traditional landowners of the lands in which we all meet today. I'm from Darug country, and here we say Warramie. May I pay my respects to traditional owners past and present, and hope that we as educators, as practitioners in nature and the outdoors, make sure that we understand their past and how they have cared for our country, and hope that we carry on that similar vein in making sure that our environment stays long into future generations. So let's get through the need to knows, the key things that the industry and participants in the outdoors need to know. The first thing here I wanted to bring to your attention, there's a few of our operators that probably work from home. And there was an article that came out this week which talked about the risk of having your business as your home address when it comes to insurance. So this is a message to everyone, if they could please just check with their brokers or insurance company. A couple of people in this article have found that they were not covered at all because they had their business actually registered at their home address. So please, if this is yourself, contact your broker and make sure that you have the right protection in place should anything happen to your residence or through to your business. The SMS service is up and running. So for those that aren't getting our text messages for urgents, and when I say urgents, they are really key things. We're not going to spam you. It is things that will remind you what's happening or things that you need to take advantage of. So if you haven't got your mobile number registered with us, make sure you let us know and we'll put you into that service. The flood support activity is out there, and I know some of you have been largely impacted by this. Again, our thoughts are with you at this time. If there's anything that the peak body can do for you, please reach out and get in touch. But certainly I have directly sent this to those that have been affected. But if you know of anyone that has been affected through these floods, please direct them to the Service New South Wales website, which has got some great content there around the flood support. The Department of Education Workforce Readiness Program kicks off today. I will be scooting out of here as we finish our Connect and Share to get to the first one at Cambridge Park High to understand how it works and see what the opportunity is to get the outdoors known amongst our school kids, and make sure it's a career of consideration for those coming out from school. So there's quite a few on the agenda there, but yeah, today I'll be flying the flag for the outdoor industry and look forward to reporting back to you all on that. We announced this last week, but just a reminder for those that didn't hear it, we now have the Outdoors Leaders and Professionals Network. So if you are an individual member with Outdoors New South Wales and ACT, as of September, your membership will go across to this network where we will be communicating to you directly about individual needs. So that will be individual solutions for individual needs as opposed to our Outdoors New South Wales and ACT company and organisation information. The mentoring programs will fit under here. Our leadership programs will fit under here as well. We'll be doing some advocacy for workers and the individuals that are involved in the industry through this network, and looking at career path opportunities as well as support services. So keep an eye out for that. And if you're not an individual member, you're more than welcome to join and become part of that network. But yes, you'll be receiving some real good individual solutions for the needs of that area of the industry. Okay, a couple of reminders. Our website activity, you as a member have access to the events page and also the business listing page. If you haven't already done this, I encourage you to do this. David has done it beautifully and gone into his login, which is up the top here. As a member, you would have received your login. If you haven't, certainly request one. We'll get you set up. If you go in the back end, you will see how you can add your event and your business. There is a tutorial which was on the newsletter that went out to the members this morning. So if you need that link, please just let us know and we will help and guide you. A reminder that we still need to be COVID vigilant. I think we need to be leaders in this space in talking about COVID safe practices. I know you all are doing this brilliantly in your individual establishments and programs, but please, if you want this email signature, it's actually on the newsletter that went out this morning. Download it, put it on your email signature and show that the outdoors is leading in this field, that we are continuing our COVID safe practices, please. A lot of different grants out there. I won't go too much into the MOX grant because I know Michael's going to do that beautifully. But we will talk about the Safe Work rebates. There's the $1,000 that you can get back from Safe Work New South Wales for any costs that go towards keeping your employees safe. So think about things that you have purchased recently to keep your workplace safe, and you could get that $1,000 rebate through their program. The holiday programs will be closing next week. So if you are wanting to run something in September school holidays or in the December school holidays, there is up to $7,000 available to help you do that. So have a look at the holiday programs for youth and make sure you jump into that opportunity. And this one is outstanding. I know that we are trying to look at this one for our Active Outdoor Kids program, but this one is open till December or until funds run out. You can actually get up to $50,000 to help fund some wellbeing recovery initiatives for our youth. So a really great opportunity for our industry. As we know, we connect well with youth, we instill well-being and mental health opportunities. So let's think about how we can get more kids into this space. Have your say. We often have programs and things on our programs for have your say, and that means you contribute comment to improve policies and procedures. This one is so, so important. And I'm sorry for those that have been on the Connect and Share when I've raved about this before, but I'm going to rave about it again. The ABS data, they use the ANSCO coding. Now, this ANSCO coding goes towards funding, it goes towards segmentation of industry. It actually goes to departments so that they can actually look at different ways to support different sectors across our economy. The ANSCO codes do not suit us well. We do not have a good subsector in the ANZAC code that actually looks at the outdoor industry. So I need the outdoor industry to come with me on this journey, and please go through that consult.abs.gov.au website and make sure they are aware that we are a very lucrative economy. We're a segment of the economy that needs to be recognised. We have a lot of employees, and we need to be recognised through these codes because it has a flow-on effect to lots and lots of different areas within government. So please jump on before 26th of July, which obviously is only next week. Where is time going? Okay, on to the events, and a really good reminder for some of the events coming up. The first one is our AGM. This will be our inaugural AGM as a company limited by guarantee. So we have a beautiful guest, Karen Jones, the CEO of the Office of Sport New South Wales, coming along to update us on all things active recreation and also the centres that they are involved in. And we will be holding, it'll only go for 2 hours, but it'll be our AGM as well. So please join us for that. You can certainly jump onto our website, our homepage, the link is there, and you can register to attend our AGM. A big week next week, we've got the PLA New South Wales ACT conference, which yours truly will be there and presenting our Active Outdoor Kids program. So we'll get the word out about that. Again, the AGM is on the 31st, and you can't forget the National Outdoor Education Conference. I'm sure you are seeing that everywhere right now, but please join us for that amazing event in Lura on the 26th to 28th of September. and our all famous masterclass, which is the free opportunity for all of our members to come along and have a 2-day intense learning and development session. So that this year will be held in the beautiful town of Ulladulla on the south coast. And we hope that we get our capacity of 50 members coming along to that event. So again, you can register on our website for that. The first attendee from an organisation is absolutely free. The second one will be at a small charge to ensure that we get as many of our members into this program as possible. I'm going to hand over to the amazing Michael Wright, who I have to say, thank you, Michael, for all your support over this period. It has been immense, and we cannot thank you enough for engaging with us and our industry through what's been a trying couple of years for you as well as us. And thank you for your support with the grant, which I'll let you talk about, and where your position is right now in this COVID wave that we're seeing again.
Yeah, thanks for that, Laurie. I'll first acknowledge that I'm joining you from Gadigal and Mongol land in Sydney. This always was and always will be Aboriginal land. I really wanted to run through two things quite quickly today. The first of which was just giving a little bit of an update on our settings for excursions and camps and overnight residential stays. I know that there are some concerns in the industry and stuff that there are some schools who may have given across the impression that there has been a move to banning camps or banning excursions. That is not the position of the Department of Education. And I know that our Catholic and independent school colleagues are also reflecting the department's advice and sharing the department's advice to their sectors. We're continuing the approach we took last term and even into term 1 this year, which we've seen working really strongly for all of our schools, which is that risk assessment approach. It's about making sure that schools are taking a risk assessment. Now, in some cases, that might say that they need to reconsider whether or not now is the right time for them to be planning those excursions, particularly with that advice from the Chief Health Officer about there being a large spike of cases at the moment. And so there may be some schools, based on their local circumstances, looking at things like postponements. But it's also about schools looking at all of the various measures that they can implement when they're coming on camp and working with you guys and the experts in your field who've actually done a lot of these risk assessments recently. And if Laurie has provided some of those risk assessments to help us inform the advice that we're giving to schools, to say things like they really do need to really clearly think through the process for if there is an outbreak at camp, who's responsible for picking up kids and getting them home safely, looking at things like what they do about rapid antigen testing, both before they come on camp and if they need to rapid antigen test at camp, looking through discussions with the school. We're recommending masks wearing indoors in all schools at the moment for the first 4 weeks of term. And so schools should also be looking at recommending masks while they're on camp, and definitely wearing masks while they're on buses or other forms of transport to come to camp or on their excursions. So it's really about them making that risk assessment. For our public schools, they can work with our health, safety and staff wellbeing team, and they've got local case managers who are helping them with those risk assessments if they need additional support with it. So they can reach out and get sort of some tailored support there as well. And it's really about looking at the local school context and looking at what's best for that particular school, not making a blanket statement and saying no camps or no camps for this part of the state, because we know that every school is different. Every school has different local circumstances, and the same, every camp that they're planning is different, has different risk factors, because going on a 6-hour bus to camp versus a camp which is only 20 minutes or half an hour by bus is a really different risk factor for them. And so all of those different things make different choices for the schools. So we're really supporting them to make those different risk decisions. Obviously, in the independent and Catholic school sectors, both of those sectors are different from the department in that we don't have a central department policy. They have more separate policies, particularly in independent schools where it is a local school by school basis, but we are really supporting them, showing the practice that the department is doing and sharing our advice that we've provided to schools. And then it's up to them, either at a local diocese level or at individual school levels to be reflecting those choices and making whatever choices they think are best for their schools. And we're really supporting them with the similar advice that we're providing to our public schools as well.
Awesome.
So that's what's happening in our COVID smart settings and the COVID smart advice. The other thing that I really wanted to come along and push for everyone today is that the applications are now open for the music and overnight camp provider support payments, or the MOX payments. They've been open for a little while so far, but we're really trying to get as many camp providers as possible eligible. There was an up to $14 million fund pool available. So there's a lot of money there that we can give away, and those payments are up to $30,000 for each provider based on your ABNs. So we really do want to see that money out the door and actually helping you guys provide more services into the future for schools and for young people across the state. Happy to talk through any particular questions people have with it, but really the things that we're looking for is that you're a small business who has substantial amounts, so more than 50% of your income during term 4 in 2020 or 2019 from schools, and then had a more than 40% decline in turnover in 2021 last year based on those schools, those COVID smart settings. And so there's some paperwork requirements around that, and getting some data from your accountant or from whoever's doing your accounts. But it's really about making sure that that money is going to the industry where we really want it targeted. As Laurie said, those ANSCO codes, we don't actually have really good detailed data at the moment about how many camp providers there are or what funding they're getting and stuff. So that is part of the reason why we do need to get those documentation from you guys at the moment. But we're really keen to try and get that funding out the door and try and help support your industries. So happy to just take some questions on that, and anything I can't answer now, I'll take on notice and get advice from Service New South Wales and Treasury and come back to Laurie with.
Thanks so much, Michael. And just to reiterate, from my perspective, there's a lot of the members that have gone through this process, and it's been really seamless. They tell me they've had the money within a week and a half in the bank. And the documentation, they said, is probably no different to what they went through when they applied for the small business grants that were available earlier. Helen, you got a question?
Yes, I just wanted to ask, because I read the conditions of the grant, and it seems that you have to be working directly with schools. So I was working in I don't even remember, maybe 2019 or 2020, probably both, with students from schools in school holiday programs. And 100% of my business came from that. But I wasn't working directly with schools. So how am I still eligible for that grant, even though I wasn't working within the school system?
Unfortunately, because the grant is directly linked to the COVID smart settings that we had for our school arrangements, and directly linked to the fact that there was a period of time where camps and music education were really the two activities that weren't allowed to occur with schools when we had a whole bunch of other things like sports competitions come back. That's really sort of where the consequence of this program's come through. So unfortunately, this grant program, you're not probably eligible based on that information.
Right, even though I was running school holiday camps in the Christmas holidays, the Christmas school holidays, which were then not able to be run last year, and they were able to be run the year before that and the year before that. So they were, yeah.
I might be able to help you with that, Helen, because this grant was actually brought about by a policy the Department of Education put in, and they don't standing over any activities that happen outside of school term. So that policy was only for those 10 weeks of term 4, which is right for. So yeah, it probably something we probably should have factored in, but certainly for this grant, this is about what happens in that 10-week term.
Yeah. Okay, no worries.
Sorry.
Oh, it was in that term, but it was just because the students were all from private schools, so they were in, you know.
And yeah, because the school wasn't purchasing, makes it a bit difficult.
Yeah, no worries. Cool.
Any other questions for Michael while we've got him and yeah, available? I just wanted to ask Michael, from your perspective, and I know we've talked about this, Rex, so just for the benefit of the industry, it's really important for our guys to really work closely with the schools, isn't it, on that risk assessment?
Yeah, so as I said, we've sort of definitely taken the advice that you guys have already provided as some of that best practice advice and shared out those risk assessments to schools. But the fact that you guys are writing those risk assessments, not necessarily every day, but you're writing them for every school or helping every school write those risk assessments every time they come on their camp or on their excursions, then, well, we do trust our school principals and our school camp organisers to know their specific school details. You guys actually really have that on the ground experience of saying, well, at our campsite, we do have X amount of space where we could isolate a student while they needed to wait for their RAT test results. And those sort of things are actually really helpful for our schools in making those decisions. So having those conversations as schools are booking or planning their activities will actually put schools in a better position to be able to implement those risk measures and look at what is different about your campsite or what is different about your venue, because all of those details about, say, what the cafeteria or food dining halls look like actually makes a difference to how they do their risk assessments and how they implement those COVID smart measures. And same, all of those things about what size rooms students are sleeping in and how many students are sharing a room or anything. All of those things make a difference to that risk assessment. So definitely have the conversation with those schools. Yeah,
brilliant. And how is the staff sick leave going? I know that's been a bit of a discussion too, that some schools are going, oh, it's just too hard, we haven't got enough teachers. And I've encouraged my guys to work with the school in that case too, to say, you know, we could probably provide more supervision that could assist in that staff sick leave. But yeah, how is the sick leave going?
Yeah, look, like all industries, and I feel like you guys would be no different from our schools in having seen a large number of staff off sick in previous months. And as the Chief Health Officers said in recent weeks, we do expect there to be a bit of a spike in cases sort of across August, probably even into early September. So there will be a little bit of those pressures on schools where there are students and staff sick, either because of COVID or because of flu or because of RSV or the common cold, all of these viruses going around that weren't really going around last year because everybody was staying at home and wearing a mask all of the time. But we're really working with schools to make sure that they do have that staffing supply and stuff. But it is also, like, we do appreciate the patience of providers on your end and saying, well, here's what other steps we can do. And I think things like looking at what additional staffing support you could provide those schools and providing the flexibility in those risk assessments and stuff really does support schools to be able to be confident when they're booking camps or booking excursions. Because I think that confidence thing is something that we're really trying to rebuild, and we've been really trying to rebuild since the beginning of this year when we started removing those hard bans on activities.
I'd love to say none of us have been sick because we've all been outdoors, which is the safest place to be. So we can only do what we can do and work with the schools to get them certainly programmed in and continue their outdoor education, because it's so important. That's great. Thank you, Michael. Any more questions for Michael before we let him go, and we'll open up the floor? Yeah, go for it, Catherine.
Not really a question. I just wanted to affirm what Michael said. I was in an independent school principal meeting yesterday afternoon with Dr. Kerry Chant, and everything we've just heard from Michael then is consistent with the messaging we've heard as the principals of independent schools. And it really is that very risk-based assessment approach. So if you're working with the independent sector, I would say get in touch with them and see how you can help with that risk assessment process. That would be great. But definitely everything we've heard today consistent with both public education and the independent sector.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Catherine. And Michael, for your knowledge, Catherine's from the Nature School up at Port Macquarie, where they've just expanded from 7 to 12 from a primary school. So really, really exciting stuff that's going on in our sector.
Almost. We're K to 7 next year, and we'll keep going till we're K to 10.
Oh, okay, nearly. The plan is there.
In the process. And look, obviously, if anybody has other questions offline or anything, please feel free to send them through to Laurie and she'll channel them through to me, and whether they're ones for education or ones for Service New South Wales and Treasury on the MOX payment, more than happy to help. There's also a contact number on the MOX payment page if you start doing that application and you need some support from Service New South Wales.
Oh, you just reminded me of something, Michael. Just to reiterate to the industry that it's not, you don't have to be an overnight camp to apply. If you provide services as part of that outdoor education experience as a day activity, you are still eligible.
Yeah, so it's really predominantly like it is overnight excursions and overnight activities, because those were the ones that we really clearly were giving advice to schools saying no. But if you did see that decline of turnover from schools because of your activities were part of something that they were doing on an overnight camp or something, and I'm thinking particularly there's some activities that schools do as part of a trip to Canberra or something, and it might only be a stop in on the way to or from Canberra. Those activities, you should definitely have a look at your books and check whether you're eligible and look through the eligibility criteria, because we're definitely keen to support as many providers as possible.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you again. Awesome. We'll let you go on to your day, and we'll have a bit of a around the table discussion on all other things outdoors. So thank you again, Michael.
Thanks, Laurie. Thanks, everyone.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye. And for the benefit of privacy, we'll stop the recording there.